You are now listening to the Beyond the Challenge podcast, brought to you by the Challenge Program, Inc. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beyond the Challenge podcast. I am Wyatt, one of our marketing interns here. Normally, you would see Dasha here in this seat interviewing people, but we decided to go for a little bit of a change today. And with me here, we have a very, very special guest, a big guest. We have Rob Toombs from Bank of America. Rob, how are you today?
Hey, I'm great, Wyatt. Really nice to meet you. We got a chance to talk a little bit beforehand.
Yes.
But hey, everybody out there, my name's Rob, as Wyatt said, and I'm from Bank of America. So we've had the honor of partnering with the Challenge program now for 5 years and have been really honored to be a part of what they're doing and have gotten to meet a lot of students. So a lot of you watching, I've probably gotten a chance to meet you. And really excited to be here today with you, Wyatt, and to just kind of talk a little bit, and really excited to connect.
He's already a natural, everyone. He is a natural at this. So it's going to be a pretty chill thing. We're going to learn about Rob. We're going to learn about Bank of America, and we might as well get underway here. So we are going to be talking a little bit about the partnership you have with the Challenge program. So can you tell us about the Bank of America's involvement with TCP? A little bit about that.
Absolutely. So sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
So we've been a part of the Challenge program. We've been partnered with you guys for 5 years now, as I mentioned. We just got a really nice plaque from you guys, which is great. And so what we do is we actually support you guys by sponsoring 5 different schools in the Pittsburgh area. So a little bit about me. I'm from just a little bit north of Pittsburgh, and that's where my wife and I live now. We've been there for the past 10 years. And we actually originally grew up in Ohio, kind of middle of nowhere. I've actually been with Bank of America now for 3 years. And so just finished up kind of a full cycle, right? The Challenge program rewards sophomores, juniors, and seniors with awards. And so some of those first sophomores that I connected with just graduated. And so that was a really exciting milestone. But we connect with 5 schools. So that is West Mifflin High School, McKeesport High School, McKeesport CTE, Steel Center CTE, and also Westinghouse High School. So any of my students watching, shout out to you guys.
Wow. And I mean, really quickly, I might be jumping ahead a little bit here, but in one of those schools, you had a major milestone. You had a Student of the Year finalist end up winning the Student of the Year competition from, I believe, McKeesport High School. So, that was very cool. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But I just want to know, what drew you guys to support our mission? Or more specifically, if you want to touch on that, or the company as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do a little bit of both, right? Mm-hmm. So I think from an organizational standpoint with Bank of America, our youth and young adult strategy is critically important to us and how we grow, but also the impact that we make, right? Once upon a time, I love what the Challenge program stands for, right? In workplace development, because once upon a time, even as an employer, right, the things that really mattered to an employer were come, work here for 40 years, and we're going to give you a paycheck, and don't complain about that, right? And so with Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that's changed a little bit, right? So they're looking for organizations that they can get behind a mission of, right? They're looking for organizations that give back in their community. They're looking for impact. And so, that's a really big part of what we do as an organization. I've been a part of organizations where that isn't a priority, or maybe it is a priority, but on a smaller scale. And so to be a part of an organization like Bank of America, where they say, hey, we're going to go into the communities that we serve, and we're going to make a difference, I think is a huge thing. And then youth and young adult, why it's important to us as an organization is that, one of our, we like to say, what would you like the power to do?
I like that.
At Bank of America. Mm-hmm. Hey, what would you like the power to do? And I think that starts with high school students. Right? And younger, and financial education. We have a program called Better Money Habits. Mm-hmm. And as a workplace partner, we're able to connect with these schools to provide Better Money Habits seminars, and we can start teaching 9th graders, 10th graders, the foundations of a successful life, the foundations of a successful financial life, things that we didn't learn in high school, right? I'm not going to date myself, but it's been over 10 years since I've been in school. And so these were things like building a budget. I remember the first time that I ever built a budget, I almost passed out, right?
It's like a foreign language,
I remember going through line by line and looking through a bank statement, and I couldn't understand. You know, my wife and I had just moved to Pittsburgh the first time we built a budget, and it was not going well, right? And I couldn't understand, like, where is this money going? I knew exactly how much I made. I knew exactly how much she made. I had no idea where it was going. And we had spent $800 eating out.
Wow.
In a month. And that's a little bit embarrassing to say, but I've said it to a lot of different people, and it was life-changing to be able to just put that to a piece of paper. And say, or an app today, right? And say, wow, this is where now I can make a change. And change the trajectory of my life.
You can see it like on the paper, on the app or whatever. You can actually see it. You're like, okay, I know what I need to do now. I can see this, and I can use it to better myself and ourselves.
100%. And so that's, the younger you can start that, the better it is, right? The younger we can start educating on, hey, what is credit? How do you have healthy credit? What does it mean to have good or bad credit? And how can having good credit impact your life, such as home ownership, right? How can that totally change your life? The average home buyer is like 39 right now. And so being able to change, I actually just saw a statistic that there are more baby boomers buying houses right now than people under 40 for the first time. And so making that change to be able to provide financial education to students while they're in school. You know, one of the things that I always tell people is, like, don't let anybody tell you that you're never going to be able to buy a house. It's one of the myths out there. It's one of the lies out there that will hold you back from creating prosperity in your life, because home ownership can be one of the biggest vehicles to creating wealth in your family and future generations. So that's why it's really important. You can tell I'm a little bit passionate about this, right?
We love to see it. We love that.
And then for myself personally, it's a funny story how we got connected to, how I personally got connected to the Challenge program. And I think it ties back a little bit to some of your award categories. I had just started working at Bank of America. I've been in banking now for 12 years, right? And so I had just started working with Bank of America, and I always make it a priority to say, hey, to whoever my boss is, hey, what extra can I do, right? And so I was kind of voluntold to go to a challenge program assembly, right? And it was a kickoff assembly, and I had no idea what it was, but my boss at the time was basically like, just be prepared to go up on stage and say hi and introduce yourself from Bank of America. And I got there, and they're like, hey, can we ask you to share some of your career advice tips? And I was like, I was not prepared for this, but I fell in love with it. And so getting to share a little bit of what's been impactful to me with, a room. It was actually, I think it was McKeesport High School, and the whole school's there. How they do it, they have the whole school there. So you've got hundreds of kids in an auditorium, and getting to hear back from a couple of them that came up to me afterwards, and then connect with the teachers. It instantly drew me in. And so it's just been a huge part of what I love to do. I actually lead a lot of our youth and young adult programs in Pittsburgh now, and especially with better money habits. And it's just been a great ride. Something that I love to tell people about. Something I love to tell school administrators, partners about as well. So That's a little bit of background on how Bank of America supported, how I started to get involved as well. So.
Yeah, and I mean, to just touch on like the whole financial aid and everything. I mean, I've been very fortunate and lucky to be able to be taught these things in high school. More recently nowadays, but I mean, like even when I was like starting to get into middle school and being like starting to be told about these things, it was nerve-wracking. It was terrifying. But like now, like I'm more used to it now, and thankfully I've learned from that, so it's very fortunate, very fortunate.
And I think that especially with Gen Z, Gen Alpha, like there's so much information out there.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
there's no shortage of information, right? But a lot of times it's in sound bites.
Yes,
and it's 30 seconds, and it's on TikTok. And the thing is you're scrolling and you see a message from somebody like Gary Vee, right?
Yes,
and Gary Vee will say, "You should not buy anything if it's not with somebody else's money," right? And you go, wow, that sounds fantastic, right? And then the next video is by a guy named Dave Ramsey, who's going to tell you that all debt is evil, right? And so you're getting conflicting messages all the time, and you're like, well, which one of these is right, right? Well, the truth is both of those guys could do either one. They're both multimillionaires. It doesn't really matter if they use credit for everything or if they pay cash for everything. But the reality is most of us live somewhere in the middle of that, right? Most of us would like to buy a car, and maybe not a car that breaks down every 4 months, right? I've followed some of that advice and paid $500 for a car and lucked out. And drove it for like 6-7 years, and then the next car I bought was $2,500 in cash, and it broke down a month later, right? So there's truth in both of those, and there's also myths in both of those, and so being able to connect with a professional in the industry for longer than 6.5 seconds, right? For 45 minutes a couple times a year, I think makes a huge difference. It would have for me to be able to connect and learn from somebody who had kind of learned some of the secrets of the system. So
Now, another question for you. Why do you think investing in students in education is so important to Bank of America's overall community impact and their strategy?
Yeah, I think it has to go back to the lasting impact, right? So don't get me wrong, we're involved with a lot of great organizations, and we have even a gala every year called the Neighborhood Builders Gala. And, one of those organizations was Cafe Momentum in Pittsburgh last year, which is a phenomenal organization. But also, like I mentioned, youth and young adults, if we can start that process early, right? If we can start making a little bit of impact here, the dividends will pay greater down the road, right? So it's, interest is one of the wonders of the world, right? Like it's have you ever heard of the penny a day doubled?
I feel like I've heard of that before.
Like if I could offer you $2 million right now, or I can offer you a penny and double it every day for 30 days, which would you choose?
See, I would probably choose the million, but I feel like you're going somewhere with the penny thing, so...
Right,
but so... I'll go with the million for now. I'll go with the million.
So if you choose $1 million, great, right? If you take a penny and double it, how much money do you have tomorrow?
So so if I'm doubling it, so then I would have 2 cents? Or
you would have 2 cents,
right?
And then the next day you would have...
And then I would have 4 cents.
4 cents, right?
There we go.
And you get like halfway through the month, you got like $2, right?
Yeah.
But as that compounds over time, at the end of the month, at the end of 30 days, it's several $1 million, right? It far outweighs the $1 million, $2 million. If you take it 31 days, it ends up being like 20-something $1 million, right? So don't quote me on the math. That's not a stat. It's an example of how compound interest works, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we say, hey, if we start teaching financial principles, financial advice, because what we're all about, is providing advice to people so that they can achieve the things that they want to achieve in life, right? So if we start that journey at 14, 15, 16 years old, what those students can accomplish over the course of their life massively changes, right? As opposed to if you start learning those things, in some cases it's not till after college, right?
Yeah.
After you get on your own and you start going, oh shoot, I don't have enough money
Yeah.
to buy a house one day, right? So if you can start learning and saving and putting a plan together at 15 for how you're going to buy a house at 30, it can go a lot better than if you start putting a plan together at 27.
Yes.
Right? Of how you're going to buy a house at 30. And so I think that's the importance of why we're so invested.
Yeah.
Because if we do a little bit now and we continue to do that, the financial picture of not only today, but of the next 20, 30, 40 years during one of the biggest wealth transfers that we've ever seen is really critical to the future of what our whole country looks like in the 20 years down the road.
It's better to get ahead and learn about that when you can, rather than at like the last minute, like when you're just getting out of college or whatever. Like I can't even imagine like how I would be if I would just be learning the stuff that I already know now, just getting out of college, and now I'm in the real world, so to speak, and it's like it's all hitting you at once. Like that would be terrifying. It would be very, very terrifying. Now we're going to move over here. We talked a little bit earlier about your Student of the Year finalist, Santana Kennedy, who ended up winning Student of the Year. And so I just wanted to know, like, what was your reaction when you heard that Santana from McKeesport Area High School won the Student of the Year competition?
Yeah, it was awesome. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that in inspiring, and we've been fortunate in that it's actually the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
We've had Student of the Years from one of the schools that we support. Last year, Ryan Janosko. She attended Steel Center CTE as well as another school. And then Santana this year, it really, number one, it instills a lot of pride, right?
Yeah.
Hey, these are students that we've been able to make a difference in, because I think what's special about the Student of the Year award is if you go back and their speeches are available on YouTube. I watched them both to prepare. So they really, the Student of the Year program, it's not about who has the best grades. It's not about who had the biggest STEM involved.
Yeah.
Those are great award categories.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're great things to recognize. But it's about people who overcame massive amounts of adversity and said, I'm going to take this program, a potential $200, but I'm going to use this as a platform to make a difference in my school, in my community, with other students who are going through the same thing. And so being in that room at the Crystal Owl Gala and watching, high schoolers give moving speeches about the adversity that they've overcome, the things that they've gone through. And there's, you look around and there's administrators in the building, there's teachers in the room, there's business professionals in the room, there's parents in the room, and everybody's crying.
Yes,
right?
yes. I know I was getting teary eyed during that night. It was just my allergies though. Someone was cutting onions or something, but it was very emotional. Yes.
It is really something.
Yes.
It's really inspiring. It's really quite impactful.
Yes.
And so they deserve to have their stories
absolutely,
shared.
Absolutely.
I always share. One of the things I love is hiring, right? And so there's this story, right, about a football coach. And this football coach, they're during tryouts, right? And there's this one kid that just keeps plowing through everybody, right? And the first kid comes up and gets knocked down at football practice. And he gets up and he says, that's it, I quit. I don't want to be hit. I don't want to deal with this. And storms off, right? The second kid comes up and he just getting knocked down, gets back up, gets knocked down, gets back up, gets knocked down, gets back up. And that just keeps happening. And so the assistant coach goes to the coach and he says, hey, which kid do you want on the team? Which kid would you want on the team?
I would much rather have the kid who just kept getting back up.
The kid who kept getting back up.
Exactly.
Right? the coach goes, I want the kid who's been knocking everybody down all day, right? Like they both went through the same adversity, right? They all three students went through the same adversity of getting hit, right?
Yes.
But there was one who took that adversity and said, I'm going to continually be energized by that adversity, and I'm not going to just get back up through the adversity. I'm going to knock that adversity down, and I'm going to say, hey, this is now a platform for me to elevate my game, to elevate my story, to elevate other people, right? And make other people better, because if you're continually going through that, you're going to continually rise everybody's ship, right? And so it's a funny story, right? But I see that so much in both Ryan and Santana, to say like, man, I'm not going to just let this adversity happen to me. I'm not going to let life happen to me. This is going to happen for me. Right? And I'm going to come out on the other side having knocked it on its face and having inspired other people to do the same, so that, you know, they both talked about bullying, right? And how prevalent that is in school, and how much that can really affect somebody's mental health, right? And in an age where we're going through a mental health crisis, right? There's more, there's more information online than ever before. There's more resources available than ever before. You know, I'm fortunate. I'll give Bank of America a shout out. Like they offer mental health support, right? And so, but we're going still through more and more of it, right? Where it's consistently getting worse, right? And so for somebody to stand up in high school and say, hey, enough's enough. We're gonna make a difference here, and you don't have to go through the same things that I did, right? I think that that's incredibly inspiring, and something that we're at Bank of America very proud to be a part of. And personally, right, it feels good that they came from my school, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, both very, very inspiring stories. I mean, like I still remember when I was there, I was getting choked up. Just it was very, very inspiring, very impactful. As you said, I love that word, impactful, because that's literally what it was. That's basically what it was. It was very impactful. And, you know, if they can inspire even like one student just to go through that, then I really think that they've accomplished what they wanted to do. So, I mean, it was awesome.
100%. And if you're watching this and you haven't heard their story, I would encourage you, go on to YouTube. Just type, it's probably right on their page, but you can type the Challenge Program Student of the Year Speech 2024-2025. And they are... you will leave that video different than you were before you started watching that video. And they're short, 5-10 minutes. But
absolutely. I mean, those speeches were very, very impactful, and their stories were so inspirational, so impactful, as you said. Keep using that word, but it's just a great word to describe it. And so, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but how does it feel to know that Bank of America played a role in Santana and Ryan's journey? You touched on it a little bit, if you can elaborate some more on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that is at the core what we want to do. Right? At the core of what we do is making a difference back into our community, right? And so going back into what we talked about as well on, you know, you start young, right? Like looking at, and it's not just them, you know, there's 10, 20 students in that room who all are doing similar things, overcoming similar things, making an impact in their school. I remember last year there was a student who had started in high school, right? In high school, I was sewing pockets into boxers and selling them to my classmates for $10 a pop.
I'll have to keep that idea in mind.
And she was raising money and sending like hygiene products to girls in third world countries, right? Like making a massive impact as a high schooler. And so I think what's special about the partnership of Bank of America and the Challenge Program is that we're rewarding students for innovating, for creating impact while they're young, and launching them into success doing that in the future. Whether that's, by the way, at a construction company that they work for, or whether that's at I've been able to work with a lot of the CTE schools, right? And they're a nursing facility that they're learning, or, we're setting them up for success in their youth so that they can be launched into an adulthood that makes everything better. And so like being able to be a part of Student of the Year, I think is really special. And a special place for a business partner to be in, to say, hey, what we are doing is not just dollars. What we're doing is not just name on a plaque. What we're doing is lives changed. So I don't know if that answers that.
No, that's perfect. And I mean, to any businesses out there, I mean, please join. I mean, you're hearing Rob's story, you're hearing Bank of America's story and how they're impacting students. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Make a change in the world, even if it's just like a small change. It's still a change, and it'll be very impactful, very motivational. So please join us. Join the program here. And now, reflecting on your own career path, were there any mentors or programs that influenced you in the way that TCP does to students?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the power of mentorship is so important, right? That's what it's been for me, right? I didn't go to college, which I think is another great thing about the Challenge program, is they really provide options for students, and they say, hey, that may or may not be the right path for you. Coincidentally, I'm actually going back to school online here shortly.
Congrats.
So one of the cool things about Bank of America is they will pay for your college education, right? I think that's a great route to go, and something to look for in an employer is, hey, I may not have which I didn't have the financial means for college. Also, I wanted to go to play drums, which I think is a really silly thing to go to school for.
I don't think so. I think you should follow your dreams.
It was funny. So that's a really great point, right? So right after high school, instead of going to college, I played drums in a rock and roll band.
Oh, wow.
So I toured and very quickly realized, oh my gosh, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. The thing that I was passionate about doing, when I have to do it to eat, lost a little bit of its passion, right?
That's
the other thing is I found myself on the road potentially for what would be 11 months out of a year, and that didn't allow me to live the type of life that I wanted, right? So many people get really honed in on making a living that they don't remember to make a life, right?
Yes.
And so that's what drew me to banking. And I started working in banking as a teller. I was making $8 an hour and happened across some mentors, right? And so I think going back, like I said, I played drums, right? One of the first mentors I ever had was my drum teacher. He was this old hippie guy named Bernie. And Bernie told me something that I tell every new hire when they come and work for me, right? Because process is really important, right? But when you're playing music, he used to tell me, nobody knows what's on the sheet. Did you play music at all?
Yes, I played violin very briefly.
Violin. Okay, so
yes,
you know.
Very
all right,
briefly,
so
yes.
he would say, hey, when you're performing, nobody knows what's on the paper but you.
True.
Right?
That's true.
So he would say, if you're going to mess up loud, mess up confidently. That way, no one will ever know, right? What happens is typically they see your look on your face, right? They see that you start jumbling around, you start sweating, you start getting uncomfortable, and that's when they know, he's lost, he doesn't know where he is, he just messed up. And so one of the pieces of advice he gave me was just, nobody knows what's on the piece of paper. Like, nobody knows what's on the sheet of paper. And I tell that to all of my team members because we're gonna make mistakes, right? And so
it's natural. We're all human. We make mistakes. It's just a normal thing.
I've done it 10 times since we've started talking. Right?
I'm sure I have too.
So Bernie was one of my first mentors. Nobody knows what you're supposed to say. They only know what they hear, right? Then the next mentor I had for a very long stretch of time taught me this one thing that really changed the trajectory of my career, that changed the trajectory of my relationships. And that was, you are in 5 years. Two things. Who you are in 5 years depends on the people that you associate with and the books that you read, right? Everything you ever want to know is in a book somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so the unfortunate thing is so many people get out of school and they never read a book again in their life, right? I've read a statistic. I'm not a statistic guy, right? Because I know I'll get them wrong. But I read a statistic about how many people never read a book after college, and it is staggering, right?
I believe that.
Now, like, audiobooks has made a huge difference in that, right?
Yes.
Technology has made a huge difference in that. But he also gifted me a book. His name's Dave, and he gifted me a book called See You at the Top. It's by a guy named Zig Ziglar, right? Who's since passed away, but one of the greats in motivational self-improvement, right? And it's got me down a path of reading about communication. I wanted to learn how to communicate well, right? And so I started reading books like What to Say When You Talk to People. Started reading books like a book by a guy named Chad Veach called Help, I Work with People. Which I think everybody should read, because no matter what industry you go into,
you're gonna be with people. You're gonna have to work with people.
You're gonna work with people.
You're gonna see people. You have to do it. Yeah.
So I started reading a book that really changed my outlook and perspective on life called The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a really, really old book, but really applicable to our day-to-day lives, and how much a positive mindset can really change how you view your day and then the results that come out of that day. And then another book that's a really new book, but many people have heard of, is called Atomic Habits, right? And so that is all about how your daily routines, your daily habits can change over time. I brought up an example. He talks about the penny a day doubled, right? From that book. And it talks about how it's little things, right? We all want to invent the next TikTok, or we all want to invent I used to say Flappy Bird, but people don't know what that is anymore.
I know what that is. So that was my childhood. So
it was on the App Store for like 2 months, and they made millions of dollars, right? Everybody wants to be the next viral sensation. Everybody wants to have the next podcast that blows up, right? But the average podcast, if you take all of the podcasts that are out there,
there's so many,
and you average out the episodes, the average podcast has 2 episodes. Most people start a podcast and they go, "Oh my gosh, that was hard," and they stop doing it, right? The podcasts that are the most successful, they do it consistently over time, and that's the same with anything, right? The people who are the most successful, they do the same things over and over, and they get a little bit better at it. They get 1% better every single day, right? And so, yeah, I know you just hit a 1-year milestone here.
Yes, I did,
right?
yes.
One of the things I tell my team when I hire somebody is I say, you're not going to be good for a year, right? You're going to hit that year, and you're probably somewhere around month 9 going to go, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is for me.
That's fair.
Right? And if you push through that, and I just want you to get 1% better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Because then your competition isn't what that person next to you is doing, right? It's not what the person 5 years ahead of you is doing, which we all have a tendency to compare ourselves to everybody's best.
Yes.
Right? Your only competition becomes you, right? Can I just be 1% better than I was yesterday? And a year later, you're 365% better. You're 3.5 times better than when you started, right? I imagine this job is much easier for you today than it was a year ago.
For
right?
sure. Like I'm fully in the swing of things. I understand. Like at first I was like I mean, I wasn't like nervous. I was nervous, but like it wasn't like, oh, I don't know about this or anything. I just had to get used to it and had to work towards it. And I mean, I'm here now. I love it here, and I'm so used to it now. It's like second nature. I'm just like, oh, hey everyone, now I'm here.
Yeah. I love that, right? And so like all of those things came from a mentor. Those are things. Nothing I've said today is original. Nothing I will ever say is original. It's all come from mentors, right? And the third type of mentor you can have is what I call invisible mentors, right? I call them that because I heard somebody else call them that. And those are podcasts, books, right? They're people that you listen to on a regular basis that they don't even know you exist, right? But you can turn your car into a mobile university and learn things that you would. I listened to, it was a 2-hour drive here. I listened to a podcast the whole way, right?
I listened to a podcast as well driving here. So, yeah.
So that's a really great way to get better
Yes.
as a person and to have mentors in your life. And, I always tell people when you're choosing a mentor, which you should all choose a mentor, right? Don't make them come to you. Go seek out mentors in your life. But you want to look for people who are holistic, right? Don't judge your mentor based off of what car they drive, right? And because people can make a ton of money, but if they don't have holistic success, right? You see that all the time, right? Different people have different values. They may say, I just want to get to a Lamborghini and then we'll figure the rest out, right? Maybe talk to the Lambo guy, right? So there's different things to choose in mentorship, but I would say seek out mentors who have a little bit of a holistic picture of success, right? And then in the workplace, just go find whoever is successful at what you're doing, who is maybe 5-6 years, or maybe even just a step or two ahead of you, and say, hey, can I get on your calendar for 30 minutes? And I want to just I want to learn from what you've done. I want to learn and hopefully add value back to you, right? Because I think a good mentorship is a partnership.
Two-way street.
It's a two-way street, right? Yeah. A lot of people look into mentorship and they say, hey, what can you give me?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, what can you give me? How can I learn from you? And in that person's head, they're going, well, why am I giving to you if there's no return, right? A good mentorship, and sometimes that just looks like, hey, what I'm giving back to you is my attention, right? It's when you give me a recommendation, I'm going to take it. Yeah. And I'm going to do something about it. And I'm going to come back to you next month and put time on our calendar because I respect your time. Yeah. And come back to you and say, here's what I've done with that mentorship. Here's how that's affected me. Here's what these 2 specific things that you told me were effective for you. Here's what happened to, hey, that book you told me to read, I read it. Here's what I learned from it, right? Instead of like, that was great. So sorry, mentorship's something that I can ramble on and on about. It's one of my favorite things. But yes, mentors are significantly important. It's critical to have good mentors in your life. Yes. So, I've heard it said if you're going to walk through a minefield, right? Or you're walking through a field and there's mines everywhere, landmines. Follow somebody. Right? Go second. Let them make the mistakes for you, right? Let's learn from other people's mistakes so that you can go make mistakes of your own that you can learn quicker from.
Yeah. You mean, what you're saying is, like, beautiful. Like, I mean, you have some great analogies there. And, I mean, I liked one thing that you said. You brought about, like, the invisible mentors and everything. Like, I love that. Like, I mean, like, some of my biggest inspirations, like, they don't even know who I am. Yeah. But, like, they've impacted me so much. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I have some mentors here at TCP, have some at home and my family. I have some, at school or whatever it might be. But, like, I really like that you brought invisible mentors up because, like, the first people I was, like, thinking of was, like, okay, I have family. I have people here at TCB, then like, well, there's some like some people that don't even know me that are some of my biggest inspirations and help me every single day. That I like they help me a ton. It's great.
And then you just hope like one day I sit next to them in an airplane.
Oh yeah.
And you can be like, I know who you are, right? And talk to them about the impact that they've made in their life.
Like, for example, my biggest inspiration, it's going to sound cheesy or whatever, is John Cena, the pro wrestler. He's my hero. I love that. He's my hero. He always has been. And, I mean, it would be a dream to meet him. I would love to meet him. So, I mean, yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't see him.
I know. That's the thing. Like, he's just floating there. Just a floating hat. Like, you can put it there. Yeah. Rob's great here. Next question now. What advice would you give to high school students who are just beginning to think about their future, whether that's college, workforce, or something else?
Yeah, I give a lot of career advice throughout kickoff programs and stuff, and I would say there's a couple things, right? Number one is it has never been easier to crush it in your career, right? The challenge program is telling you how to do it, right? If you show up every day, if you commit to consistent improvement, right? The academic improvement award.
Yes.
If you create excellence in what you're doing, right? And that's your academic excellence award, right?
Yes.
If you get involved with your community and you really take an appetite of learning, right? That's what I get from the STEM award is, hey, I'm going to get outside of my comfort zone to learn new things, applicable things, because life has changed, right? And the workplace has changed, right? If you do those things and you commit to those things in your workplace, there have been trends over the past several years that have led to mediocrity in the workplace. So you just have to be a little bit better, right? There's things like quiet quitting, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of quiet quitting, right? This is the concept that I'm only going to do the bare minimum of what that job description asked of me. And in order for me to do any bit more, I need more money, right? It sounds really good on paper, but the reality is that people go after go-getters, right? The people who get consistently promoted, the people who get consistent raises, those are people who say, I am going to do so much more than my job asks of me, and I know that there are rewards waiting for me in the future, right? And they don't get mad if that doesn't maybe happen in their own time frame, but they know that good work now leads to
it'll lead to more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So number one, it's never been easier to crush it in the workplace. Number two, you got to have a mentor, right? And I know that we just spent 20 minutes talking about it, but you are in life, the books that you read, the people that you associate with, including mentors, right? And number three, this might sound really different, but give yourself grace, right? Give yourself the ability to change your mind, right? If you would have asked me all through high school, ninth grade on, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? I would have said one thing and one thing alone.
That was me in elementary school, middle school, and then once I got to high school, I love pro wrestling, so I wanted to be a pro wrestler. That's what I wanted to do, and then once I finally got to high school, I started to get into like video editing, and I was like, okay, I might want to do this for a career, and so I was like, okay, I'll go to college to be a video editor. Yeah. But then I took a video journalism class in, I believe it was my 11th grade, and I'm like, I'm starting to, like, broadcasting kind of interests me, so I'll take that class, and the next thing you know, like, my dream right now is to be a broadcaster, so I mean, I would love to do something like that. So like it completely changed. Like for a while I was dead set, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the best pro wrestler, and then I'm like, okay, video editing and then broadcasting, so yeah.
For me, it was very similar. All through like my younger years, I always thought, hey, I would be in some type of ministry. My faith's really important to me. Yeah. And so making an impact and helping people have hope in their life. Yeah. That was one of the things I wanted to do. Ninth grade on, rock star.
Yeah.
And then I did that, right? Like, so I went on tour. I went and did the van life. I did that whole thing, playing in front of sometimes thousands of people and sometimes 25. You know, did that for a short amount of time and gave myself the ability to change my mind, right? And to poke at things, right? And to say, hey, maybe I'll go work in. I tried a call center once. I was in the food industry for a little bit. My brother's a chef, so I went into the food industry for a little bit. That was very, very short lived. And then I found myself in banking, right? And kept poking at that. Said, wow, I like the life that this could create for me. Yeah. Right? I like that there's a schedule that is, for me, I loved the fact that I got married pretty young. So my wife and I got married at 20 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the fact that I could have family time in the future.
Yes.
Right? I liked the fact that I had stability to try out other things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say, like, if you have an opportunity, take it, right? If that's a side hustle, if that's whatever, you can always make a change. But,
Yeah.
I had side hustles along the way. I had things that I did. I had businesses that I started along the way outside of work hours, so I could
Yeah.
have stability through work and then go chase other things outside of work, right? And because most people, when they want to start a business, they go, I'm going to quit my job and start a food truck, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to sell a lot of tacos to make it, right?
You got to invest a lot of time into that, a lot of money into that, and so at some point it might run out. It might not turn out so well. I mean, it might work. It might not. You never know.
Yeah, and so I always recommend, because a lot of people are highly entrepreneurial, especially Gen Z, the most entrepreneurial generation we've ever had. Gen Alpha will be more so, right?
Sure.
And so, because we see things like a YouTuber at 10 making millions of dollars opening up toys, right? And so every single one of us, I'm a young millennial, so we're always have our brains churning of like, what could I do to make money? How can I make a difference in my life? And I will tell you, one of the biggest pieces of advice I ever got from a mentor was to work full-time and let that job fund an enterprise outside of, if that's what you want to pursue, right?
Yeah.
And so give yourself the ability to fail, to not be great at it. Anything that you're going to be great at, you're going to start by not being great at it. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a great if you're a great pro wrestler, you started as a not great wrestler, right? You had to learn how to be great at it. So all success takes a lot of failure, right? Anybody who's good at anything, they failed more than anybody.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
So just be comfortable with failure in that process, and give yourself grace to be able to fail, to be able to change your mind. And you're going to find yourself in a strength spot, right?
Exactly,
you're going to find a sweet spot, right? And all of a sudden, the last thing I would have ever told you that I wanted to do was to be a banker, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm 12 years, almost 13 years into a career, love what I do, am able to make an impact.
Yes,
which is what I want, able to bring hope to people's lives, be able to help people strategically make plans to have a better financial life, whether that's clients that are in our financial centers, whether that's students that we're talking with, or whether that's team members, right? That work for us and say like, hey, I want you, anytime I hire somebody, I always say, hey, here's the goal. One day, I want to work for you.
Yeah.
Because I only hire people who are more qualified than me. Right. So in my financial center, I am the least qualified person in that center. Right. Like high school wasn't even great for me. Right. I just knew how. I actually graduated National Honor Society because I had band classes. I had 2 band classes every year. I would take cooking classes. I would take a lot of classes that were very easy to get A's in. To kind of play the system a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. But I always hire people. I have a couple people who work for me who have business degrees, right? An MBA. People who work for us with me with college. Almost everybody that works for me has a college degree, right? And I tell them one of your mentors can and should be your direct boss, right? Hey, here's the thing. I'm going to help you. It took me 7 years to get to be a financial center manager, right? I've been a manager now for for whatever that math is, right? I should be able to help you learn everything that I did, and do it quicker and more efficiently, right? So that you can eventually, maybe we'll get to a point where I work for you.
Exactly.
You're my boss.
You can learn from them.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would say, I don't know if that helps, career advice, if those are tangible things, but just go out there and try and kill it, right? Yeah. Do whatever you can to make a name for yourself early, because it will help you in your career. be okay with that not happening, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we're all a little bit afraid of failure.
I mean, I know I am, but I also know like it can be like the greatest like strength and motivator. Like I mean, I outside of TCP, I like to do like content creation and stuff. And I
Yeah.
mean, when I first did that, I was not good at all. But I mean, I like to think I'm better now than I was. But I mean, I'm okay with it not going well as long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm still passionate about it. Then why the heck not?
Yeah, and I mean, so I imagine that you're like, and Dasha as well, but like the minds behind kind of you guys' social media strategy
Yeah.
that I've seen really make a lot of different changes over the past year, coincidentally,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so. And I've seen like you guys are on you're on all of the trends. Like there's a trend that comes out, you guys are doing it, right? And
That's all Dasha. I gotta give her
Okay,
credit. Gotta give her credit. Dasha's back over there.
and we are like, and you're tying it back into what you guys do. Like you're not just doing it to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because anybody can do that, but you're tying it back into the importance
Exactly.
of the mission, and I think that that's really great. And so. And I'm sure you've had some that just went off, and I'm sure you've had some that flopped a little, you know. And I think that's just how it is, right?
It happens.
So-
It happens with everything, no matter what you do. There's gonna be some that you really think are gonna do well, but they end up not. And then there's some that you think, oh man, that's never gonna get anywhere. And then for some reason, it just gets super popular. It's just super, or like it's like super positive, super just it's great.
Yeah.
Like, and it helps you a ton. So I mean, you never know. It keeps you on your toes, and I mean, you gotta be okay. Like you said, you gotta be okay with failing, and just use it as your biggest strength, your biggest motivator.
100%.
Yeah.
Love that.
You've had some great points here, Rob. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've never done this before. I'm not
No.
gonna lie. I was a little nervous.
No,
so-
absolutely. You are crushing it right now. You're motivating me, inspiring me. Like it's incredible to see. And you were touching on like some of your mentors and everything like that. Like it's very motivating. It's very inspiring. And I would like to ask you, what do you think are the most important qualities students need to thrive in today's world, today's workforce, anything like that? I mean, it's fast changing, it's ever growing, it's not the same as it was maybe even yesterday, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So I mean, what do you think are the important qualities that students or new future workforce members would need? I mean, it could be the award categories, it could be other things specific to your workforce. So
Yeah. I think that, like I said on the previous question, follow. If you do what the challenge program is teaching, you will be more successful in your career. That's the whole point of your organization,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Is to teach good habits so that people can find more success, more fulfillment in their careers, right? I think 3 things. Number 1, you got to be hungry, right? You got to be hungry for more. You got to be hungry to perform. You've got to be hungry to create a life for yourself. You've got to be hungry to be a good worker.
Yes.
Actually, the most recent guy that I hired, I actually had somebody else in mind. And he happened to come into my financial center, and we talked, and I could just feel it.
You could just see like the drive, the passion.
Feel it.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude is hungry. Happened to just be like, hey, go apply for the role. He ended up getting an interview, and the one word, like the sentence that got me, like I said, I already had a different candidate in mind that I was pretty set on, and he said, listen, man, I do very well in what I'm doing right now, but I want to work here.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I can tell that what you're saying is true, because I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
You're hungry, man. And he's been a great addition to the team, right? That was it. That one line, I could hear it in his voice that he was already after it.
Yeah.
But he wanted to come here and get after it. And I was like, that's awesome. So be hungry. Be humble.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think a
Big
lot
thing,
of us,
yes.
it goes back to mentorship, is like sometimes, especially when we're young, I'm the biggest culprit of this, right? Like it's hard to receive feedback, especially when that feedback is not positive, right? So humble yourself, know that other people know more than you.
Yes.
And then the third thing is just be honest, right? Humble, hungry,
The three
honest,
H's. Three H's,
right?
yeah.
Be honest about where you're at. Be honest with positive, right? Like, I think sometimes we tout the horn of authenticity as an excuse to complain all the time, right? So
That's
be
right.
honest to like the best version of yourself,
Yes, yes.
right? But that's not to say, hey, if you're like that is to say, if you're struggling with something, talk with your teacher, with your boss, with your employer, with your mentor, with a therapist, whoever it is, right? To move past that and be honest about like who you are, right? And act with integrity. I think that's like be honest in what you're doing as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I think for simplicity's sake, humble, hungry, honest. Is what I could say to maybe some of those like junior seniors who are getting ready to go into maybe a trade, maybe a career, maybe into college, right? I think it's applicable no matter where you, or maybe you're a business partner and you're watching this, right? Like I think that's applicable. So
No, I couldn't agree with that more, and I feel like that applies not just in high school, not just in college, but like all throughout life. Because if you're not hungry, if you're not humble, you're not honest, then you might not make it in the career that you want to pursue or any career at all. You have to be those things in order to achieve your goals. And so I couldn't agree with that more. And we're going to move on to our final question here for Rob. We've had a great conversation, and I just want to thank you again for joining us.
It's been awesome.
Yes,
I really enjoyed it.
No, thank you. It's a great conversation. What would you say to other businesses considering a partnership with the Challenge Program?
Stop considering and get to it. I don't know. That can be really frank. No, it's been really fun to be a part of what you guys are doing. It's been a lasting impact in the lives of the students. But also, you know, a lot of times we're looking for great people.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's developing our future workforce. It's developing our future clients. It's developing the people that we're going to serve as an organization. And so, you know, I think a lot of times we just want people to show up to work on time, right? Yes. And so the Challenge Program is teaching people the importance of attendance, right? The important, like, we want people who want to learn and grow and adapt. And the Challenge Program teaches those principles to students. And so, like, their mission is our mission, right? As employers, as business partners, as entrepreneurs, as massive organizations like Bank of America, like, we're all going after the same thing. And they're doing it in a way that's highly effective to students, right? They're doing it in a way that's connecting not only with students, but with administrators and teachers. And the feedback that I received back, you know, like I said, it was the end of a cycle of students. And the amount of students that came back to me and after our assembly and talked about the impact that was made has been staggering. But it also builds the business, right? Whatever your business may be, it helps to build that in a significant way that says, hey, you're gonna have stronger employees. You're gonna have more knowledgeable clients. You're gonna have people that are going into the world, that are creating more success. And, you know, there's an old saying that says, a rising tide raises all ships. Right, so as our students come out of school and they're better at these things, right? They have a value for attendance. They have a value for community service. They have a value for academic excellence or excellence in what they do. They have a value for academic improvement or, you know, career improvement. They have a passion for these STEM roles that, honestly, that will be a lion's share of jobs in the future, right?
Absolutely.
STEM roles. So, and that my job loosely entails, but that there are a lot of STEM jobs within something like a bank, right?
There's STEM in every job, really. Every single job, there's going to be some form of STEM in there. So
100%. So, I think that it's definitely a worthwhile organization to partner with. To pursue, one that we're honored to have a relationship with, and that we're always rooting behind. I know even as you guys go into new markets, into Philadelphia, into Ohio. Like those things are really, really encouraging to see, because I know the impact that comes out of what you guys do every day. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on
Rob.
the show. It's
Thank
been
you.
awesome. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to seeing what this new school year. I just got dates for our first kickoff assembly, so looking forward to seeing this new batch of students. So.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys stay tuned. If you guys, we're going to be revealing our schools at some point, I believe. Is that right, Tasha? I have to ask Tasha over here.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I might be wrong here. But we will be coming to your schools very, very soon. And maybe you'll even see Rob if you're a part of one of his 5 schools, I believe. Five schools. Rob, finally, is there anything you want to promote or anything you want to lastly say?
No, like I said, hey, we're really passionate about giving back to our youth and young adults. We're really passionate about financial education. We're really passionate about providing advice to our clients so that they can have the power to do what they want to do, right? And so, really honored to be here. Really thankful for the opportunity to be here. If you're a school administrator and you're looking to have better money habits in your school, Bank of America, we're always happy to come and to do that. And we really appreciate you being with us.
Absolutely. And that is going to conclude today's episode of Beyond the Challenge. Thank you guys all for joining us, and make sure you remember, why not you? Bye, guys. Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Challenge podcast. If you want to learn more about us, check out our website at tcpinc.org or check out all of our social medias. Thanks, and have a good one.